the advice I would give to everybody in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, wherever you are in life, whoever you are in that moment, show up as that person in that moment.
Keep doing you. Welcome to another episode of Sipping on Excellence. Sipping on excellence. I am not Kenneth, Johnson, Coach KJ, and I'm with my man, my dude, Dr. Lionel Hunt.
Whoa.
Don't get it wrong. I'm sorry. Don't get it wrong. They like to call him Lionel. Whew, that beats me up. Anyway, Dr. Lionel Hunt.
What up, y'all?
Where we talk about everything, life, liberty, and the pursuit of getting that medicine.
Everything that pertains to excellence, man.
Excellence.
We have conversations, the real, the raw, the uncut, and just
Telling the truth.
sometimes it's going to sting a little bit.
Yeah. Telling our truth.
Other times it's going to make you feel good. Every time it's going to make you think.
Yeah.
That's what we're here for, man. That is what we are here for.
Talk to me, Captain. What's going on?
Oh, nothing, man. Just
There's always something going on. Can't say nothing.
Another day, another dollar.
Can't say nothing. There's always something.
Yeah, that's true. You know, nothing that people want to hear about. People want you to lie to them these days. Nobody wants to hear the truth, especially about themselves.
Oh man, we can pick that one apart.
People don't want to hear the truth about themselves because that's the hardest shit to hear.
Mm-hmm. If it's not a pat on the back or a squeeze on the butt, you can forget about it. They do not want to hear about it at all. They're gonna fight you tooth and nail.
I reposted this quote on my stories yesterday or today or something, and it was real. It basically, I'll tell you what it said. Let me find it. I must have cut it off, but it basically, it might still be up. Let me see. It was definitely fitting.
You know it's Gen X.
Oh, yeah.
Gen X's.
Yeah,
Let's go.
We're figuring it out.
We're going to try to figure it out
And
first.
It says, mature grown men don't sugarcoat anything with a woman to protect her feelings. He is honest with her about who she is so she can either grow or go. And what I found as we get older, now that we are, here's the funny thing. People like to say this is midlife.
I know.
We're in the back 1/3.
Absolutely.
You know, if you really think about it. So midlife, we've already passed midlife. Midlife is probably, 35?
Yeah.
Maybe 40?
Technically.
Maybe 40?
Technically.
And so, as a mature man, I don't know how mature I am sometimes.
Right.
As a should-be mature man, the ability and desire to bullshit becomes less.
The funny thing is when you start thinking back to men in your life that were in their 50s, 60s, there was no sugarcoating.
No.
At all.
No. But why? But and the thing is, why would you? We waste so much time dancing around people's feelings instead of just saying it like it is and letting people, like I said, people don't want to hear the truth about themselves.
No.
You know, it stings. It's going to sting a little bit, but that little sting that happens is how you grow. The funny thing is that coddling starts from childhood.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be okay. It's going to be fine. And then when they started giving out these participation trophies and everybody's a winner. Nah, man, you suck. You are terrible at baseball. You should pick another sport.
Mm-hmm.
You know? No, everybody's just having fun.
No.
Not if you're trying to win.
No.
Because
No. You have to have something to work towards.
Exactly.
And you're not, if you get a participation trophy, you just, everybody participated.
What are we telling these kids and these young adults of today? Look at the generation after us, and then the generation after that.
Oh man, it's significant.
What's that quote? Hard times create hard men. Hard men create soft times. Soft times create soft men.
Mm-hmm.
Soft men create hard times.
You know,
and so it's that vicious damn cycle.
You know, I thought you were going to say, hard times are spreading just like the flu. Watch out, homeboy. Don't let it catch you.
Run DMC.
Yes, sir.
But it's true. And if you think about it, our job, or part of our job as 50-somethings, part of our job is, in my opinion, I think we should share what we've learned through the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, with the people who are in their 20s, 30s, and 40s. So they don't necessarily have to learn the same lessons. You know, a statement I always love is that good judgment comes from experience, and experience comes from bad judgment. There's a whole lot of things I do now because I fucked that shit up before. And you're like, ooh, that was wrong.
That's how you learned.
You know? And so, yeah, everybody knows fire's hot. Did you have to touch the stove to know it was hot? Your mama said, don't put your hand on the stove because it's hot. You kind of just didn't do it.
Yeah. You know what? I always look at, do you remember the first time you learned dominoes?
Yeah.
And the person that taught you dominoes, or if it was a group of guys, you sat down, they taught you how to score. And you start scoring, you scoring. Like, oh, I got it now. All right. Now they're, all right, now let's play. You got it, right? Let's play.
Right.
And they're blocking you, and they're blocking you. That's where you learn how to strategize. There's all strategy.
Oh, for sure.
But you learn not just by participating. You got to learn
Through experience.
and
play.
losing and got to play.
For sure. And so I say, you know, Coach and I were talking about, talking to y'all, like what should we dive into this week? And it really was, it was funny. I text him and then he texts me and then we were both on the same damn page. What kind of advice can we give through the lessons we've learned to both men and women of the different decades coming up? What are some of the things that I've learned in my world, what Coach has learned in his world through experiences that he's been through that he can kind of share with you to say, you know what? That ain't always the right way to do things. I would love to kick this off by addressing young men in their 20s. That's a tough group. Young men in their 20s.
The 20s now.
The 20s now. Yeah, tough group. And
what do you see of the 20s now?
No concept of what real life is because they're so involved in a fake, made-up reality. You know, thanks to... We are from a generation where we knew life before the internet and we know life with the internet. We knew life before social media. We know life after social media.
Analog to digital.
So we can compare.
Yeah.
We know what that life is
We
like.
know what a component set is.
Right. We know
to downloads.
Right. We know how to compare. And so I'd say the number one thing that has not changed from when we were 20 to when dudes are 20 now. Get your mind off them girls, man. And the reason why I say that is because a man in his early 20s, figure out yourself first. Understand who you are and what you want to become as a man. Understanding what it means to be a man. You know, people say a man is a protector, a provider, all of these things. You have to understand what that means before you start chasing after all these young women, these girls. Realize, and I'm going to tell you dudes this, you are not on the same emotional and intellectual wavelength as women your age. You are not emotionally or socially mature, as socially mature as women your same age. So they are going to come at you very differently.
Mm-hmm. And you're not going to be able to.
You're not ready. And so the worst thing you could do is try to keep up. There's a reason why when you're in college trying to date these women, they're dating older men because they
really were in college.
Yes, they're emotionally and socially more mature than you. Frankly, women get their shit together way sooner. And so because of that, focus on you. As a young man, focus on you, your education, focus on what your wants and needs are. Focus on developing the man that you want to become. And most importantly too, man, get your finances right. As a young man in your 20s, figure out a track.
Start having an understanding.
Right. Figure out a track to financial security and stability. Trying to figure that out in your 50s, trying to figure that track out in your 40s, and I don't know where I'm at or what I want. I promise you it's a lot harder.
Oh, absolutely.
There's
a lot more at stake.
Yes.
By the time you get to your 50s. You know, there's way less on that back end. All those years that go by.
Yeah.
All the struggles.
Focus on you when nobody else is depending on you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That makes sense because it becomes harder as you start to age.
I think even better. Focus on you because there is not going to be anyone to come and save you.
No.
Especially as a man.
There's no
backup.
There's no backup. It's you.
Yeah.
Because at 20, at 25, I look at when I was a doctor by 25. But I was intellectually mature, but I was still very emotional and socially immature at 25. You know, when you really think about it. Yeah, I may have got all the degrees, but that shit wasn't making me go through life. And I think what made me more mature at 25 than my peers is the growth that I had and was forced to undertake as a young child and teenager.
Mm-hmm.
And what do I mean by that? It's the shit I went through, the failures I had, the ass whoopings I took, the sleepless or the hungry nights, you know.
Yeah.
All of those things helped me set priorities, and I still wasn't where I needed to be on a maturity level.
Yeah. 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 I mean, honestly, we're always growing. We're always growing. You just don't want them early years, some big bumps. They're going to come, though.
You're going to take them licks.
But you got to want to take the lick so you can learn from it.
Well, and you have to actually know what that means. You can't look at, I got rejected, let me roll over and die. Or when you have another lesson, when you have nothing, there should be nothing you won't do. There should be no job that's beneath you. There should be no book you won't read to get something.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happens with people who have everything. There's no growth because they're not forced to do anything because they have everything.
They have nothing to work towards.
They have everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and so
I mean, because at 25, I was married.
yeah.
You know? At 25, I was married. I was a year in marriage. A full year.
Okay.
But I wanted to be married, and I was willing to do what it took to make that work. However, situations happen. Talk about taking it on the chin. I was taking it on the chin early in that relationship.
Yeah.
But I learned. But I wanted to take what I took out of it was, one, owning and learning who I was as a man, understanding my responsibilities as a man, and the ownership as a man to the things that have happened. I'm not responsible for what she does, but I am responsible for how I, one, handle myself in that situation.
Yeah.
What I'm responsible for bringing us to that head. I know what I was responsible for. And once I got clear with that and the education and things and talking to the elders
Yep.
that put you in place, that tell you about yourself, that will watch you from the sideline because they're going to let you fall.
Yep.
They're going to watch you from the sideline like, mm-hmm. You felt that, huh? Mm-hmm. Okay, so what you learn? That doesn't happen these days. That doesn't happen with this generation.
Well, I think also in your 20s, you should start to try to understand what success looks like for you. What are you striving for? Everybody, or a lot of young people now, are all striving for quick, fast money. And so people equate money with success. And I'm going to let you guys know, money does not make you successful. What money does is it can help pave the way to success.
Correct.
If you can pay your bills, if you can kind of dress the part, look the part, kind of walk into a room with a little bit more confidence, that's how you become successful. Because you can have a lot of money and we've talked about this before, you can have a lot of money in your pocket and still be broke.
Right.
Or should I say still be broken. And so I would say to you young dudes, and we're going to get to the ladies in a minute, chase personal growth, chase personal success, set a goal for what success looks like to you in different areas. What does success look like to you in your chosen field of work or career? What does success look like for you as far as relationships are concerned? What are, your significant other in your brain? Start forming those things. What does success look like to you, or what do you imagine it to be in friendships?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
What does success look like for you individually in health and wellness? You in your 20s, you have not only the time, but you have the energy to focus on all of it at once.
Mm-hmm. And what is more incredible about that, when you start putting your energy into you, that's going to reflect out, and you're going to start attracting the externals to you because you're living in this space of who you are and what you want to become. if you, like we talk about women. I mean, I'm just going to go
Yeah.
backwards a little bit. Like when they say, I can't find a good man, and then they continue to go out, but they're constantly looking for that man they can't find. Guess what? You're going to keep warranting that.
Yeah.
So like you have to chase after your success, what's successful to you, so you can pull in that energy from those external forces.
And the reason why I say this about men in your 20s, because you guys in your 20s, women aren't checking for you. So stop chasing them. They're not, the woman you wants the future you. Keep that in mind. I'm going to say that one more time. The woman you wants the man you're going to become. So focus on becoming that man and stop focusing on trying to be that man now, because you can't be.
Yeah.
You're not.
What do you want to be known for?
Focus on becoming a man. Because I honestly think a dude in your 20s. So as you're climbing that ladder and fighting that battle of your 20s, you're going to make friends. You're going to lose friends. You may not make a single cent. Nowadays, you may make a lot of money, but you still are an immature, intellectually immature, socially immature, emotionally immature man with money. Now that you have the money in your pocket, you have some financial security. Don't fuck it off. Now start focusing on developing the other things that you don't have. Ladies in their 20s, very different track, if you really think about it. Because women are more, and this is just my opinion, not facts. Early 20s, very different than 25 plus. Because now society has pushed that gauge a little further, and people always talked about that biological clock. And the closer to 30, the closer to 40, that clock starts to tick a little louder and a little faster. And that's just physiology, biology, sociology, all the above. That being said as well, a lot of women in their 20s have this mindset of, I don't need a man. I'm going to do whatever I can to make my own money. I want to be like a man, and I'm going to be in these streets. So, as we said with men, become the man that you want. Become the man that the woman wants you to be later. Become that dude, because the woman you wants the future you. Women, I'm going to tell you, you're not going to want to hear this. The man you wants the past you. The man you wants the you before you got jaded. The man that you wants the woman that you were before you got ran through. The man you wants the woman you were before you became hardened and said, you don't need a man, you don't want a man, men ain't shit. They want the you.
They want the prequel.
Exactly. They want the you before you went through all the bullshit.
Right.
And so as you're in your 20s coming up, realizing the man you want and the life you want to live, first of all, think about what success means to you. If success is, I want to climb the corporate ladder, make as much money as I can, be self-sufficient, be independent, cool, then set yourself up for what that is. If you're like, you know what, I want to be independent and take care of myself, but I also want a family, kids, and all of those things. What does that look like? What does that take?
So in essence, build your self-sufficiency, but at the same time,
protect your virtue.
Exactly.
All the things, the softness, the world's going to throw shit at you, ladies. And that's just, in your 20s, you're about to catch it. Because frankly, men ain't shit. We aren't. When we're in our 20s, we're
Diabolical.
We're
Diabolical.
demons.
Yeah.
We got that devil juice of testosterone
just don't
surging through our system, and we don't know how to handle it.
Yeah.
And so what do? We lie, steal, scheme. We do whatever it takes to get you to want us. And we put up this facade of all kinds of madness.
Absolutely.
And so
It's a good choice of words.
yeah. So what you ladies need to do is understand that it's okay to not want that dude right now.
Right.
Make these young dudes who are coming at you show their worth. Be okay with recognizing the potential in a dude and either follow his journey or take that ride with him. Mm-hmm. Because when he's built the house, he may not want to put you in it.
Yeah.
Unless you helped him build it in the first place. And so understand it. I hope you understand where I'm coming from with this. I tell you this because as you hit your 30s, it's going to be a different ballgame. What you're looking for, what you think you want. Now, 20s, have fun. Do you, but don't be in your 20s saying, I want to do me, but I also want a man. Because the man you want doesn't want you in your 20s with the 20s mentality. Notice I said with the 20s mentality.
Yeah. Do you think what happens with a lot of women that they get that jadedness, do you think it's more from their internal thought pattern of it, or is it they're basically bouncing off their friends, social media, and then pulling all that energy in to themselves? Like, well, this happened to my girl. This happened, I saw some girls talking about this. It's, you know what I mean? Like the psychology behind that.
I think when all you dealt with was ain't shit men, or all you're running across is ain't shit men, you're going to think men ain't shit.
But you're running across the same man.
Exactly.
At the same age, same process.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, it's my thought process. I've never been married, but I'm going to tell you, the majority of men should not get married before they're 35.
I agree with that.
And the reason why, because a man doesn't come into his own until he's in his mid-30s, early 40s.
Just mentally.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean, mentally into his own. He doesn't know who he is as a man.
Yeah.
I tell you, man, when I turned 30, and I had accomplished a gang of shit by the time I hit 30. I hit 30 and I was like, man, I'm a grown-ass man. It clicked. And then when I hit 40, I was like, oh, I'm in it. And then 40 plus has just been, I'm in it. But it wasn't until 40 when I was like, all right, I'm now the man I am meant to be. And now I just need to grow as that man. Mm-hmm. Before 40, I wasn't the man. I didn't think I was still trying to figure out. I knew the surgeon I was supposed to be, but I was still trying to figure out the man I wanted to be.
Yeah.
And that's.
So I was a little different.
I'm just willing to admit it.
Yeah. Like 27, 28, my business, everything else, but I had to dive into the business because my relationship was doing this.
Yeah.
And I went hard into the business. But because the way I came up, the way I learned, the way I saw the people around me, that I had to stay in this and I had to fight and I had to continue. So my mindset was I was using the elders as examples because they don't tell you how all the shit they've been through.
Yeah.
They don't tell you all that. They just tell you, you got to fight, you got to do these, you got to do that, you got to do these, you got to do that. But my mindset was, okay, I'm supposed to do this because I'm in this. And as I'm fighting, she's not. Then I started railing.
Yeah.
And it took me out. But there still was ownership. You know what I mean? I learned the ownership aspect of it. Okay.
So I will say also in your 20s, men and women alike, understand financial responsibility. If you learn one thing early in life, both men and women, if you want to learn one thing early in life, understand and embrace the importance of a credit score. You cannot get through life with shitty credit. I don't care how much cash you have, bad credit will always follow you like a fungus, like a disease that you can't shake off. So understand the importance of it and do everything you can to protect it. That's what you need to be doing in your 20s. Learn how to make money, but more importantly, learn how to not fuck it up. Learn how to – my credit was shit when I was in my 20s. I got credit cards like I'll pay them off later because I'm going to be a doctor. Because nobody ever tells you different. If your parents didn't have good credit, if nobody around you has good credit, you don't know what that means. You always think, I'm going to make money so I'll be able to pay it off. It doesn't matter. It doesn't work that way, y'all. Understand the importance of financial responsibility and financial literacy. Understand what money truly means. Not telling you, oh, go make a ton of it because that's what money means. Understand how money works. Understand how credit works. And learn that early so you're not getting taught lessons from it later. That's both men and women alike. Yeah. Everybody needs to learn that early.
Basically, it's like, don't just get it. Get a space of respect for it. Got to have some respect for it.
And I'll tell you a mistake I made in my 20s. Being hyper-focused on one thing makes you neglect other things. So what does that mean? I was so hyper-focused on getting to where I wanted to be as a surgeon that I neglected personal relationships. Yes, you can date in your 20s. You learn how to interact with the opposite sex in your 20s because you're an adult now. And you learn how to get rejected. You learn how to put yourself in situations where it may not go your way. If, like me, I was hyper-focused on school. So for me, it's like, you want to go out? No, cool. I'm going to go study. So I never had to sit in that or try to develop those relationships like they could have been, you know? And so when I look back, I'm like, probably would have done that a little different. Yeah. You know, because it took me longer to get more socially mature because of that.
I was going to ask you though, because you're a science brain. You're very science.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're a science
I'm an engineer.
brain. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Shit's got to be logical to me.
Yeah. So what you're saying is, because I was always very social. Probably socially retarded at times, but excuse the language, but I was
very social, but I'll tell you, I never really, I could have did more to cultivate relationships rather than just allow them to be fun in the moment and move on.
Okay. So
that's what I mean.
So you
I was very social.
Okay. So you had to kind of work on it a little bit to kind of.
Yeah. Coming up through high school, I was popular. Going through college, I was popular. I was in a fraternity. Still am, all this stuff, but I was social, but still socially immature.
Okay.
And it's now being a mature man, I know that looking back, and it's because it didn't matter to me. And that's okay, but you can't neglect any of those aspects we talked about.
Right.
Social, intellect, emotional, financial. You can't neglect, and your health. You can't neglect those things and expect them to just be okay. You're hyper-focused on your health, so you're in the gym 7 days a week, but you're not cracking a book. You're not going out. You're not doing this. You become a socially awkward bodybuilder. You know what I mean? And so we all know people who became hyper-focused in one thing. Look at an Elon Musk. He's awkward as shit, and so that starts, I believe, early. And so if you don't open yourself up to growing kind of everywhere. So when I said leave them girls alone, meaning don't let that be your focus and reason why you're doing.
Don't be hyper focused
Right.
on it.
Don't let that be the reason why you're doing everything else.
Yeah.
Do everything else and she'll come.
Yeah.
You know, ladies, different for you.
Yeah. And I would add a fifth element to what you just said, which would be spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say spiritual, I don't mean, just God, or it's your internal self-worth in here, in your heart, in your mind, bringing it all together, working on those four other aspects and creating a level of, how can I say, little balance with everything will always bring back to self and building your own. That helps with confidence. It helps with being able to sit with yourself when you are not with anybody.
Yeah.
It helps with joy, internal joy. And that's what you really, really, truly want, is internal joy.
Because as you're going through your 20s and now we kind of springboard into our 30s, in that decade, you should now be saying, okay, I'm starting to understand who I am, and I'm starting to understand how I want the world to see me. I may not have it all together yet, but I am now, okay, I know the man I want to be. I know who I'm trying to get to be. I now am finishing school, done with school.
Correct.
I'm in the workforce, or if I didn't go to college and I'm in the workforce, I've now have a decade of life experience that now I should be able to say, you know what? Okay, now how can I show growth? 20s, I'm learning. Now how do I show growth? 20s, I'm understanding. Now how do I show growth? And by opening myself up to different things, saying, you know what? I was hyper-focused here. Let me pull back a little. Where am I here? Where am I here? Oh, I was so hyper-focused here. My finances and my credit went to shit. How do I rebuild that? Oh, let me figure out how to rebuild that, because my career, I got that set already. Mm-hmm. Because I know that's trajectory's gone. Rocket ship is already taken off. Now, how do I rebuild this? How do I start to understand how to build meaningful relationships? In your 30s, now men, this is where we have a problem, because in our 30s, this is where we try to over-impress. You know what I mean? This is where now, y'all, in our 30s, we are now at the stage where we got a little something going for ourselves. The breast milk is no longer on the chin. We've cleaned all that off. We're now not dealing with, we're not mama's boys anymore. We shouldn't be.
Right.
And we're coming into the phase of being our own men. Some men are married by then. Others who are single and just now in the workforce, they've now reached a point where they're trying hard to impress, and now they think they have something to impress, so they almost become dickheads. You know what I mean? They almost become these dudes who start to peacock. You don't really have shit, but you think you do in your 30s, and so you start to peacock, and now you think, oh,
because
all these...
Yeah, you're a step above from where you were, so you're like, but I got this now.
You're becoming the man that women in their 20s are starting to look at. So now, but the woman you always wanted still ain't looking at you, because she's looking beyond you, or she already has her dude.
Right.
And so, and as women now in their 30s, they're looking at you as a man who's kind of got themselves together. And if they're single and no kids, they're looking at you like, all right, I'm in a different space. You're looking like, I finally now have the means to play. Mm-hmm. She's looking at, I'm ready to settle. And they're not on the same page. Why? Because the man who's been trying to find himself, who is now coming into his own and just starting to find himself, is like, well, now I'm ready to show everybody what I got. And the woman who's 30, 35, in that age range, ain't trying to hear that shit, because she did all of that in her 20s. Yeah. She was showing everybody what she's got in her 20s.
Yeah.
While you were still trying to find yourself. She found herself long before that.
Yeah.
And so you're not on the same page.
No.
And that's where men are starting to get a bad rap in their 30s. Nobody expects a man in his 20s to be about shit. So there's no expectations.
Right.
A man in his 30s, people expect him to act like a man. But
And a big jump at that.
a big jump at acting like a man, not a gradual.
No.
I expect you to go from 29 to 30.
Yes, high school to PhD program.
Exactly. Instantaneously. And that's just the way the world is.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
so because of that, men start to do exactly what people expect them to do, which is I'm going to try and sow my oats. I'm going to date multiple women. I got a little cash in my pocket. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I ain't trying to settle down. I don't want a relationship. And it comes off as looking like a fear of commitment. When in actuality, it's not a fear of commitment because we got the same barber for 20 years. It's not a fear of commitment because we got the same football team. It's I just don't want to miss out on what I saw them doing in their 20s. I want to do that now too. And to say a man is now finally being able to play the field because he can, because he's now more attractive, because he's now giving off that confidence that a man gives off when he's finally understanding himself.
Yeah, there's an air.
It's hard for
There's
him to
always an
say,
air.
I'm going to lock this down because you didn't want me when I was 25, but now at 30 or 35,
Yeah.
you're ready to shut me down when I'm just getting warmed up.
He starts kind of acting like she did in her 20s.
Exactly. You know, and so
Yeah.
And so it's one of those things where he's still now, a man in his 30s, understands what it's like to make money, and now he becomes hyper-focused on career.
Mm-hmm.
Hyper-focused on intellectual pursuit in the 20s. Hyper-focused on career and making money in his 30s. Because he's like, I got to be this provider. I need to.
Yeah.
And I want not. And ladies, y'all aren't going to believe this. He's hyper-focused on making money because in his mind, I have to peacock even bigger to get the person I want around me.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to make deals because they're fun to make deals. I want to make money. I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to become that guy.
Yeah.
Because that guy can walk into a room and command respect.
With ownership. Yeah.
And a lot of guys in your 30s, this is where you falter. You think making money gets you that command when you walk into a room. Money has nothing to do with that. Like I said earlier, money paves the road to success.
Right.
It's not what makes you successful.
Yeah. 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 I mean, it might put you in a room.
Yeah.
But you might be a fraud in that room.
You can still be a rich dighead.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
but 30-somethings, this is where you make or break the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. Because what you did in your 20s, you can spend your 30s coming back from that.
Mm.
What you do in your 30s, your 40s, 50s, and beyond, you don't have the energy to come back from those big-ass mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
The mistakes you make, you should make those mistakes in your 20s so you learn from them, regroup, become the man you really need to be. So in your 30s, you are now sort of like Michelangelo sculpting out the pecs, the abs, you know, to get it right.
Because you know what your efforts are. You know how you know where you stand. You know how you know where your placement is. Let's say you've seen successes and you've seen failures. You know that I've seen that success, quote unquote, that especially financially, that I've achieved before. So I know it's possible, as opposed to you're going into your 30s and you haven't done all that you can to make it happen, and you get in your 30s, you never seen it. You're like, oh, this is never going to happen.
Right.
You're still on that downward. I've seen it.
30s is confidence boosting or ego bruising.
Yeah.
That's what your 30s are for dudes.
Yeah.
30s for women. Women in their 30s, what I've found is that trajectory of, do I want a family? Do I not?
Yeah.
And that decision then becomes, do I want family and corporate life, doctor, lawyer? Do I want to be a working mom, or do I want to find and just be a parent? Do I want to do both? And that's in the 30s is where a lot of women now are deciding. That was decided, like our parents' age, that was decided in the 20s.
Yeah.
Now it's people are pushing back that first child and deciding on if they want to have a family to their 30s, early 40s.
Yeah.
And so for women at that stage, men aren't deciding at 30 if they want a family. Men are deciding on, how do I get more?
Yeah.
How do I get ready in case I want a family, or in case
if this family all of a sudden fits in,
right?
Because a lot of times family ends up fitting in.
Yeah, 30s is still a very selfish period for men. 30s for women, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s for women are very selfish. But I will say 30s for women, they start to actively really look and be open to really wanting that companionship if that's something that's important to them. That's late 20s, early 30s is when that really starts to trigger, like, if this is what I want, this is what I really want.
Yeah.
And what I've realized is a lot of women start to soften in their 30s.
You think so?
Their 40s, they harden again. But in their 30s...
In their 40s, if they're single.
Doesn't matter. Single or married, a lot of women will still harden in their 40s.
Okay.
Because, and I'll tell you, and this is just from observation of my small pool of people, in their 30s, women soften because they worry about turning 40.
Okay.
When they turn 40, a light switch kind of flips, and they're no longer worried about turning 40, so they toughen back up again. And if they've had kids and their kids are starting to grow, they become tougher. They're like, I'm ready now. Kids are older, they're going back to school. I want to get back in the workforce, or I can go dive full back in. I can put on my masculine shield again. And that happens. So I don't need a man 20s. I'm just living my life. Woohoo, hot girl summer. 30s, life starts to tick, and they're like, oh, I see where I am. I'm probably in my career. I want something different now. I have this maternal instinct. I may want kids, I may not, but I know I want a partner of some sort. I want that companionship. I soften up a little bit. I won't settle in my brain, but yet, like we talked about before, all women settle.
Yeah.
But that being said, they soften just a tad because of what they desire to attract, which is opposite of hard.
And also, do you think it's a level of fear as well? If that's the
whether
case,
they admit it or not, fear of being alone, absolutely.
Fear of being alone. That's
absolutely.
What I was getting at.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And no matter how successful people get, that fear of being alone is still there. And so that's why things I think and I've seen soften in the 30s. And then you hit 40. Whereas with men, they hit 40 and they're now like, okay, I really am a grown-ass man. I got no excuse for fucking off life because there's no coming back from this. I'm at middle age. And people call it a midlife crisis when a guy goes and buys a sports car and does all this thing. But what they don't realize is a man doesn't come into his own until he's late 30s, early 40s. He doesn't have the finances to do the things. So when he can, he goes and buys a sports car. When he's in his 40s, the reason why he's dating younger is because that's who's looking at him. Y'all weren't looking at him when he was on the come up. You're looking at him now that he's come up. And so men will like who likes them.
This is true. This is true. This is,
You know?
that's very true.
And so if a man is in his 40s,
We don't go through much debate.
No. And he meets a woman in her late 30s who's really on the path, and she's like, I'm on this path now. He may not be on that path, and it's okay. He may want a few years to kind of figure it out. He can't do that with you if you're on that track right now. As far as his work is concerned, he's in it. And so he's at that stage where maybe he's the CEO. Maybe he's now head electrician. Maybe he's now got his own plumbing company, and he's now in it. He's working 100 hours a week on life. And he realizes, oh, shit, I'm 40. I got to get my health together. I neglected it for the last 2 decades. I was going to the gym, yeah, but I was eating like shit, and now my metabolism came to a slow start. I turned 40, my testosterone cut in half. So
absolutely,
I now am no longer thinking with the devil juice running through my veins.
Right. I'm not driven.
You're right. I'm now thinking.
I'm trying to drive.
Yeah. I'm now thinking more like.
Logically.
And I got a little empathy. I got a little emotional maturity in me now. And I'm now thinking, there's more to life than just a fat ass and working.
Yep.
I now start to weed out the friend group. I now at 40 start to understand the importance of meaningful relationships. I now realize that money's not everything. Money's a lot, but it's not everything.
Yeah.
Even when you don't have it, it's not everything.
Yeah.
When you have it, you realize it's not everything.
It allows you to move, but it don't take you everywhere.
But I'm learning more about financial responsibility. I've learned, okay, I know what I should have done 20 years ago. Yeah. I'm making up for it. Now I'm on that track. I now have to start thinking about for the time when I can't work. I now have to start thinking about the back nine.
Yeah.
Because I got more days behind me than I got in front of me.
You actually start thinking about your family.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about just a wife and
your
kids.
Parents.
I'm talking about your parents.
Yeah. You start seeing people in a different light.
You become responsible for a lot of people.
Yep. And
didn't know you were acquiring them during that process. They're slowly pulling you in like, oh, I got to take care of my mom, my dad, grandparents, whomever, the house. You know what I mean?
And I'll tell you, a lot of you look at women, a lot of women may take on those responsibilities, but I don't think that women worry about it as much as men do. Because men naturally worry about the ability to take care of and provide.
I think men also worry about everything and they put it on with a smile because we're not going to burden anybody with all the things that are hardening us inside.
Yeah. And so I think what I would tell dudes in their 30s coming into their 40s, start securing those relationships that you perceive to be lifelong. Start putting yourself in uncomfortable situations and be comfortable with that. Start putting yourself into rooms where you're not the smartest. Start putting yourself in rooms where you're not the wealthiest. Start putting yourself in places where you're forced to interact. Where you can't necessarily hide, because that is how, when you lead into your 40s, it's going to basically, you have the foundation, you've put the walls of the house up. Into your 40s, you're building that roof, because that structure is what's going to carry you through the rest of your life. And so that house you're building, you're putting the final touches on in your 40s. You may remodel some things, change the light fixtures, shit like that in your 50s and 60s. But the house you've built is that house. When you are the man you're going to be when you hit 40. Ladies, you're the woman you're going to be when you hit 30. And you're gonna grow as that woman. But the woman you've become by the time you hit 30, that's the woman you are. And that's the woman that people will see and respond to. So be very careful how you portray yourself in your late 20s and early 30s, because that's the woman people are going to think you are. And when you go and say, I've changed, nobody's going to believe you, because that woman is visible to everybody, because the internet exists. Will always exist. Men, same thing. That asshole you were when you were 20. Here's the thing. Here's the difference. The man that was in his 20s doing dumb shit, people will just chalk it up as he was just an immature kid. He's grown now. We all did dumb shit.
Yeah. He's not labeled.
Ladies, you don't get that luxury. The dumb shit you do in your 20s will follow you for life. It's a double standard, and it always will be. Understand that. So when you're out there doing shit now, doesn't give anybody the right to do dumb shit. But understand, our dumb shit looks way different 20 years later than your dumb shit 20 years later. And it's just, I don't make the rules. That's just life, dude. You know? What would you tell ladies in their 40s? Married ladies in their 40s, single ladies in their 40s. Because we know both. We know both. You know what I mean?
I would say, I would tell first and foremost, married ladies in your 40s, because I have a married lady in her 50s, is you have to start scrubbing off some of that old you. It ain't gonna go away, but you need to start pulling back from some of it.
It almost seems like that should start happening.
It should.
Before that.
It should.
Right.
But if you are married and you want to have a fulfilling relationship, you're going to have to start letting go those previous relationships. If you want to have a fulfilling relationship in your 40s and further, you're going to have to start being with your partner and not having a partner. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because a lot of times it's like, well, I finally got somebody. Now I got to get this, and I got it, because there's a acquisition that they have. They're always acquiring versus being with.
Right.
I would say single ladies. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, what he was saying, go back to the 30-somethings. When you are done with a relationship, when you are done with a friendship, leave it.
Absolutely.
Do not carry that shit forward.
Every chapter is different.
Close that damn chapter.
Absolutely.
Do not drag your shit, and men and women alike, but this happens more often with women. You carry that baggage. Learn how to, he's saying scrub it off. When that relationship is done, wash it off then. Don't wait to get with the next dude and then try to wash it off. Mm-hmm. Because the next dude has already smelt the stench of your prior past, because you didn't wash it off.
Right.
So through every decade, wash that shit off so you don't bring it forward. You know, that's what I would tell women in their 30s, 40s, and now that we're in our 50s.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where, as a man in his 50s who's single, advice I can give the world: stop asking why. Stop asking people once they, like, for example, society will ask a woman in her 40s, why aren't you married? Mm-hmm. Why didn't you have kids? Why is it any of your business?
Because it's carried over from them and all the shit that they've been told. It's
talk about a man in his 40s. If he's single with no kids, then he's broken.
Right.
You talk about a woman who's single in her 40s with no kids, then it was her choice.
Right.
you know? And so it's when, or he's afraid of commitment, or he's a player, he's this, he's that.
Labels.
He's damaged. Red flag, red flag, red flag.
Yeah.
Get rid of the red flags. Stop letting society dictate what your red flag should be.
Mm-hmm.
And stop looking down on yourself because society thinks you're not where society feels you should be. Are you happy with where you're at 50? Are you happy with the life you've lived thus far? Then who gives a shit what society thinks about where your life is?
Because if you are wearing that label, it will show and shine, and people will identify with that label versus who you really are.
Every decade of life, I'll tell you, 20, 30, 40, try your hardest to show people you. Don't show people what you think they want to see.
Right.
You know, I have a 3 faces tattoo on my arm as a reminder of the fact that we show people different sides of us based on who they are.
Mm-hmm.
The world sees one face. Your friends and family see another face. And then the third face is your true self, which has the most detail, but you still wear a mask to yourself because you don't show your true self to you.
Absolutely.
And so one piece of advice I can give to everybody is, as early in your life as you can, start showing up as who you are. Even if you don't know who you are, or I should say this, even if you don't know who you're going to be,
Mm-hmm.
just show up as who you are.
Show up as who you are.
Show up as who you are as that 20-year-old. If you're an immature dickhead, be that immature dickhead. You'll learn lessons because people will treat you differently.
Absolutely.
And you'll grow from it. In your 30s, if you're that dude who's now peacocking because you think you have it all, you're going to get that ego check, which is going to teach you more. As you hit your 40s, you will then know, and you will have built that house based on the hurricane winds that blew open some windows before,
Mm-hmm.
the earthquake that cracked your foundation a little bit. You're going to learn in your 40s that you've now built the house because you've gone through all the shit, because you've showed up as your true self, who you were in that moment at each point in your life.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's not easy in a world of fake.
And as you get older, it gets harder.
I think as you get older, it becomes easier to show up as yourself.
It does. Now, that part, yes.
Yes.
But as far as what I was going to add to what you were just saying, as you get older, continue to be you and do you, and know that you're capable of doing more. No matter what, you're never done. There's always something to be done. We get to a certain point where it's like, well, by the time I get to this age, I should be, I should stop, or I should do this. You're never done. You never done. That's all I have to say with that.
Now, when I get 60, I may look back on 50s and have some different information for you.
Yeah.
But for
I
right
ain't
now,
there yet.
But for now, what I can say, which it took me a long time, and I just started doing this, showing up unapologetically as who you are. Be that dude, be that woman that no matter if people are going to like it, love it, hate it, whatever.
Interesting.
Show up as that person.
Yeah. You feel like you just started?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
I've shown up as me, but filtered.
Yeah.
And that filter has been...
I mean, I've seen changes, of course, but yeah.
It's because I've had to.
Oh, I know.
Based on the place I hold in society, I had to show up in certain ways. I've had to code switch. I've had to do all this stuff in order to be accepted, respected, and then finally I got to a point where it all starts with, I don't give a fuck. Once you can say, I truly don't give a fuck, then you will understand.
I feel like over the last 2 years, you started owning that.
Yeah. Then you can understand that, yes, your opinion matters to me, but your opinion doesn't shape the way I feel about myself. I get it. I care what you think. but I'm still going to do me. And if it doesn't resonate with you, then you don't have to be around me.
Yeah.
You don't have to listen to my podcast. You don't have to come be my patient. You don't have to do any of that.
Yeah.
Because I'm still going to show up as me. And it took a long time for me to get to that point and to say, you know what? Above everything else, my happiness, my wants, my needs matter more than anything.
For you.
And that's all that matters. I mean, that's that. Then everything else will fall into place.
Absolutely.
You know, I said this the other day on a post, you spent better part of the last 30 years taking care of everybody else. The weight of the world is here. And I finally was like, you know what? Everything suffers when you put everybody else first. Your health suffers. Your lifestyle suffers. Everything suffers except what you're pouring into, which is work and other people. When you start putting yourself first and you start creating your own happiness, watch how people treat you. You're going to lose a lot of people because they were sucking it from you. And when you decided to take it back,
I know this.
People they'll fucking start to disappear.
Absolutely.
When you start doing what's best for you and not best for them.
But you also make way, that will clear the way for the people that really matter. It always does.
That part.
They have more space to come through too.
Yep.
Because they see you clearly.
Yep.
Doesn't matter where you are.
So if you take anything away from this, the advice I would give to everybody in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, wherever you are in life, whoever you are in that moment, show up as that person in that moment.
Keep doing you.
On that note, we appreciate y'all tuning in for all these lively conversations. We appreciate feedback. Come talk to us. Tell us what you want to hear.
Yeah. We've been loving the feedback lately.
You guys keep bringing it. What we're going to start doing too, I think when we record these, we're going to start going live on IG.
Yeah.
We'll start with IG Live during these podcasts. We ain't going to post them, though, so y'all are going to still have to go listen to the podcast if you missed it. But I think that's going to be a good option. We may start doing that. And go check us out on all the socials. Coach KJ, Leonel Hunt, SOE_podcast. Mm-hmm. Go check out the Hunt Foundation.
You know where we are.
You know how to find us. It'll be in the bio. And appreciate all the love. Send us some topics of what y'all want us to discuss. And otherwise, we're just going to keep bringing the funk. On that note, we out.
Slow.